What's up, everybody? It's time for the weekend review, so let's get it. It is July 20th. We're coming into the last week of the month here, and so we'll see if we can get jiggy. Right now, you guys know I like to start from the top-down view, and especially like to start with the weekly profile. So last week we had almost a perfect balance, and as you can see, we've been essentially balancing in the same range for the past 3 weeks. One of the things I wanted to point out to you guys that was pretty important to me that I noticed was we actually had two POCs line up exactly perfect. So we had last week at 6,300 and the following week at the 7-6 week had lined up at the same exact spot. So not only was this the previous week, but this is also two weekly composite POCs. Okay, so pretty big deal. And the reason why I say that is because there's a weekly level right there as well at 6,302. So eyeing this level hard, guys. Something to certainly keep in mind. Okay, so from a top-down perspective, that's what we're looking at. We definitely don't want to forget that we have some singles in the weekly profile all the way down here at 61.66. And even though we're still trending up, don't get me wrong, there's an inefficient market technically on this weekly. So if we start to break down underneath the 63.48 area and 63.30s, which I'll show you here shortly, there's a good chance that we could slip down and start to repair this inefficiency in the market and come get these weekly singles. Okay, so just don't forget that as we start to talk about some of this higher time frame lookout here. Okay, so now let's get right into the daily and weekly spots here. So first and foremost, if we start to slip under that area, we don't have any support really on the daily or the weekly until we get right down into the 61.50s, 61.40s area. This is very important to remember because as we start to, if we do end up pulling back, a daily close underneath the 62.48 would be pretty catastrophic. And I say catastrophic in a sense that, we're going to lose the support to this structure and we'll start to come down. Now, where it starts to go bad though, is really if we close below the 62.23. As you can see, we had a nice solid gain. We continued to close strong on Friday, but I'm just, we have to look at both directions. We don't really have any upside targets unless I draw some fibs and stuff like that, but we're not going to get into all that right now. So one of the things I do want to point out to you guys that I think it'd be important for you to notate is that technically up in here, and even though we have this weekly at 63.02, which I don't love, by the way, but it's there, and so we're not going to discount it. 63.02, there's no really daily support inside any of this. This has all been wiped, okay, from a daily perspective. And so, yes, we have that weekly. It's kind of sitting there, and it's sitting there with that the 2 weeks POC. So we're not going to, ignore it by any means. There's a ton of good 4 hours in here as well. So I do think there's a lot of support in here, but from a daily perspective, there is none. Okay. Now, one of the things that I definitely want to point out to you guys is 63.20. I don't know if you noticed, but on Friday we played the 62.23.50 daily. We played it perfect, and we're popping up. We're up about 17 points from that spot. But we do technically have another daily at 63.20. So if they come down here and play 63.20 and get back above 63.23, we could squeeze. We could fail breakdown again. We could squeeze again, and it might set up a really nice long. So right now we're at 63.40. We don't have to worry about it. But if this sets up tomorrow, it's certainly possible. Now, what happens? Where does momentum shift? Well, if we were to get a daily close underneath 63.23 and ultimately 63.20, that would really show us there's some severe weakness. Like essentially the bulls kind of lose the upper hand for the moment. Now, is the bull run over? Absolutely not. Look at this monstrosity. So I don't want you guys to get it twisted, but at this point it would kind of get us back into the terms of that you could make money either way. Okay, and once the bulls kind of lose momentum, then the bears are able to kind of force things around a little bit. Like right now, they've certainly got the upper hand, and they showed that on Friday without a doubt, and Thursday especially. Thursday was a crazy day. So and even Wednesday, look at this. They came down, they wicked these lows, and we squeezed for 3 days. So again, is rotation possible? Is rotation possible? Absolutely, it's possible. And that's why I just want to keep all our options open, okay? Now, we obviously have, look at this, 63.03, monthly VPOC. We know it's the 2 weeks POC as well. 63.07, previous weekly VPOC. And then obviously down here at 62.93, we have our monthly VWAP. This is a hot area. This is a really good spot. And we're going to focus a lot on this when we get to the 4 hour because, I just wanted to show you kind of what happens here. But again, as you can see from my chart here, everything kind of starts to get ugly underneath 62.69. Okay, so we lose momentum underneath 63.20. and it starts to get bad underneath 62.69, and it's really ugly, ugly, ugly below 62.48. And I say ugly, ugly, I mean, again, that doesn't mean the bull run's over. It just means that we've shifted momentum, and we're probably going to come down to play some support into these other areas. So here is the spots I'm looking at on the daily time frame. Okay, so let's just keep it clean, keep it nice, keep it neat. All right. So we have the spot at 61.54, right? So we know that there was this weekly right around here, 61.43. Is it tested? I don't know. It kind of is. I don't love it. But I certainly lean on it because it's the all-time high support. But really the areas that I'm looking at, and we'll get a little bit more defined when we go down to the 4 hour, is 61.54, guys. If we get underneath 62.48, 61.54 is the jam. And especially if we get back above 61.66. If we get back above this previous weekly all-time high, we're going to squeeze right back up to this daily here at 62.48. Okay, so that could be a 100-point bougie right there, and potentially take us all the way back up. It's absolutely possible. Okay, so anything's possible. As you guys know, we prepare for everything, and that is the point of this mission here. So below this, we have 60.93.75. I like this top down. This is a previous leg down. Absolutely love this. This also was a previous leg down right here at 60.55. Also another good spot. Now, this is 60.25 I'm not in love with. I don't like the way this closed. This is what I call intra-tested. That's why I have intra watch. Not my favorite spot. And I think we do have some other smaller time frame levels, like a 4 hour around that. So again, I'm not going to be resting at this spot, but I will certainly look for a potential reaction. Okay. The other spot that I'm really looking at right here is 59.78. I know it seems crazy to talk about it this far away because we're talking like a 300+ point pullback. But again, I'm just talking high time frame with you guys here. Anything can happen. You never know. Shit, we could have tariffs. No more tariff news. The next thing you know, they fall a couple hundred points. We just need to be prepared for anything. I do like the way the 50-day moving average is sitting right here at our 55, and potentially could even move up higher as we start to, as the day goes on, the days go on. Let me rephrase that, and possibly be up in the 60.93s if we were to come down. Okay, but ultimately, this is my favorite spot on the map right now. Just to be quite frank. Okay, we really want to stay above this. If we get a daily close below 61.54, the same thing happens is what happens under here with the close underneath 23 or 20. We start to lose momentum. Okay, so right now we haven't lost on any time frame. We're up on the 4 hour, the daily, the weekly, the monthly, everything. You name it, we're up on it. So we're not really talking about that right now, but based on this particular chart as I see it, here's my most favoritist spots. Okay, and the one that I'm really watching for Monday's play is a sweep of this daily into the 63.20 and a reclaim of 63.23.50, and we just buy with both hands and see how far we can take it. Okay, and then all right, so that's what it looks like on the daily. Okay, now we're going to keep this in mind over here, guys. 63.02. So it's not the perfect weekly, but it is a weekly. So I'm going to pull this over for you guys. This is the 4 hour. This is the other thing I wanted to show you. So this kind of gives me a little thought here that we have a daily bearish imbalance on the daily profile, which means we could technically come down and play, come all the way into this ETH daily at 63.09. As you can see, here's the ETH daily chart. I'll just blow it up for you. There's an ETH daily right here at 63.09. Do I love it? It's not my favorite, but I will tell you, it's got a lot of confluence. And it is technically untested, I believe. Let me look real fast. Oh, no, it's tested. No, but anyways, regardless of the fact, it kind of leads into our bearish imbalances, which I wanted to show you essentially. But here was the 63.02. Okay, this is an untested weekly, and it's dead smack in the middle of that. It's right by the monthly point of control. It's obviously those 2 weeks POCs that I pointed out to you guys when we very first started this, and it also would lead us right into that bearish imbalance. So and then we have some singles down here to clean up. This would technically be considered excess. And you guys know how I feel about these inefficiencies in the market. I obviously feel at some point all this gets cleaned up. Anyway, that would bring us right back into 63.03, as you can see right here. Okay. Now, one of the areas that I really like on this spot, I'll just shoot you straight here. I probably wouldn't be looking to buy 63.03 with both hands. What I really want to see happen is it come down into the 62.99. Play this untested 4 hour. I know it looks tested here, but it's not. Play this untested 4 hour. Give me the confidence, and then get back above the 63.02 and just nail this sumbitch. right? And then try to take this back up to 63.09, and then obviously 20, and maybe even potentially all the way to new highs. I don't know. One of the things I do want to point out is we did have an all-time high in ETH, which basically means that an all-time high was made in Globex, and at some point this will get cleaned up. Don't know when it's going to happen. Hell, the way that they're moving up right now in the evening session, it could happen tonight again, and then we'll have another new all-time high to figure out. As you can see here from this 1 hour chart, I mean, we're still just pushing right up, right? So anything's possible. And then you could see, even I have this box here for this imbalance, but this would be a fantastic field breakdown if we hit this. So we'll see. I mean, as long as we don't make a new all-time high, I'm going to be constantly looking for this to get cleaned up. As long as we continue to hold support. Okay, so that's just me being frank with you guys and kind of my mentality on this whole thing. So again, we have the 62.99 that I love. It's in combination with the 63.02 weekly, and it cleans up this excess here. It will clean up this bearish imbalance, and that is, again, only if we get underneath 63.20. Okay, I'm not really talking about to the upside because there's not a lot to talk about. This 4 hours tested, we're holding the daily at 23. We're moving up. Okay, it is what it is. There's not a lot for me to get excited about up here. We're literally 10 points off the all-time highs. So I need a pullback. Right. The other area that I'm very, very, very much looking at, so we got one at 63.20 with a squeeze, with a reclaim of 63.23. We've got 62.99 / 63.02. The other spot I really like is 62.83. Okay, this is an untested 4 hour from the left. It would be a great sweep play, and then if we were to play 83 and get back above 89.50, guys. This would be great. This would be an awesome play. Look how many times this played. This is a significant 4 hour. We play 62.83, get above 89. We start to walk ourselves up. Okay, and you just play the levels that we've been talking about all the way up. Okay, so that is a great trade in my opinion. So I have, again, 3 killer spots for you guys, or potential trades: 63.20 above 23. 62.99, 63.02 area, and then obviously the 62.83 spot. And that's it. That's all I got in this whole segment. So I've only got 3 setups in this massive area. I know that sounds crazy, but that is just the way it is because we've been balancing in here so long that everything else is wiped. And so that's just unfortunately the crux of it. Okay, so as you can see down here, we've got things start to get nasty under 62.40, which we talked about on the weekly profile. Super ugly below 62.34 as this leg was played. This 4 hour leg, which you guys know we called out in last weekend's weekend review, this thing took us to new all-time highs. I told you guys this was an A+, and it was an A+. We swept, we did the field breakdown, we did it on a couple time frames, we did it on the daily, and we did it on the 4 hour. They regained this daily over here. Look at this. I even have my indicator over here just to kind of say, hey, goofball, hit the button. And it fired right above the 62.48 after they swept this leg, and we made new all-time highs. This is such a most insanely powerful trade. I'm actually going to include this in the course, and that way that you guys understand exactly how to trade this. So anyways, below 62.34, we said below 62.30 based on the weekly profile, it starts to get ugly, and that is true. The only other spot that I'm looking at, and I do not like this level, we talked about this, is 62.2075. I would only be interested in buying this level if we were to get back above this wick here, around 62.25, call it, and start to squeeze. But again, I'm going to start taking profits everywhere until, once we get up here above this, I would know that we were going to kind of continue to go. But this is all major spots. I mean, all major smacks that took us, or pops that took us to all-time highs a few times. And so these are going to be huge resistance areas, and I would have to just kind of let it do its thing and play on the regain, just to be quite frank, because I don't like this. This is, again, intra-tested, not a fan. All right. So, I even have bombs away underneath here if that kind of gives you an idea how I feel about it. All right. So once we get down here, guys, we start to get into some real juice, okay? So we have some nice 4 hour down here at 61.19 through 61.25. I like this area. I'm buying this area. I am. I'll give it a poke. And what you can do if you really wanted to wait and see, if you're looking for a trigger, wait until it gets back above 61.30 until you initiate your buy if you're really concerned about it. That would be your trigger to get in at this point, okay? And then obviously if you move lower, we come down in here. Now, let me just turn on this real fast so that we can get some context. All right, so this is... I just overlaid everything, right? So if we come down in here, this is that daily at 61.54. I like this spot. We have this weekly that I can I can argue if it's tested or not at 61.43. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I like this spot. There's a previous weekly naked POC. There's a 2-day naked POC. We've got weekly, we got daily support. We clean up the singles on the weekly. Let me show you guys what that looks like here, which I've been eyeing for quite some time. And, you know, they're going to come get it at some point, right? That's this spot here we just talked about previously. So they're going to come get this. I just don't know when, okay? So if they do, you know, I'm looking for this to get cleaned up, play this. And here's the real kicker, right? And I said this earlier when we looked at the daily chart. Play 61.54. Get back above 61.66, we squeeze all day long. Back up to 62.20 and even 62.48 and higher. Okay, this could essentially take us back to new all-time highs if they play and hold this. It's just how it works. Okay, so the other area that I have down here is this weekly at 61.29. Again, I also question whether it's tested as well. So, you know, what I do like though is these 4 hours at 61.25 and 61.19.25. The one I really like is the 61.19.25. And if you, again, you can even see I have this drawn here at 61.30. If you really wanted to wait and, you know, be a confirmation that's going to go, let this play and let it get above 61.33.25 and just lay into this pig. All right, but you got to take profits of 61.43 and 54. Okay, you have to because they're so important. All right, but again, I mean, you're still talking, you know, 10-point, 20-point runs here, which is, you know, not a joke with some size on. Okay, so we got, if we go a little lower, let's start looking at our other spots here. Okay, I'm going to hide the other drawings and we'll come back to it. All right, so I got 60, 61 into 60.53, a 60.42.50. I don't love the 60.26 very much, but I believe there's a daily there as well, so I would be watching this area. And then obviously I like the 60.10.75. This is a great spot. Okay, we continue to move lower into some 4-hour areas as 59.78 and 59.64, and even a potential fail breakdown at 59.54. Now, are we going to get down there? I don't know. It's kind of a stretch. But let me just throw on some daily time frames or all the other time frames just to show you what I do think is important. So again, if we end up coming lower than 61.30, we absolutely have an untested weekly at 60.98.25 that I like. We have an untested daily at 60.93 that I like. And we have an untested ETH daily at 60.89 that I like. And essentially we have a gap in our weekly TPO here, guys. Again, another inefficiency that we created when we gapped up higher. And, you know, this would damn near fill this whole thing in. So could they bleed off into this a little bit? For sure. Or they could just fill it halfway. We never know. But you know, it's definitely a magnet, and if we come down here, I'd be looking for this area to hold, only because this is the top down of this leg, and it's so damn important. And actually, now that I look at it right here, I can see that I forgot to mark one of these 4 hours. Actually, let me just grab one of these. I have an alarm set on it already. Whoop, boom. Okay, and in a 4 hour at 60.91. Awesome. Great spot. 60.90, let's call it. Great spot. 60.90 to 6100, 60.98. I prefer the lower part of it just because I want to see this gap get filled. Okay, now here's the other spot, and this is really good. And I didn't show you guys this, but let me pull it up. This is the monthly time frame. This is a top-down untested monthly after we gained. This area is going to get love. 50-day moving average is there. 60.63. Okay, good spot. And look at this. Here it is. It's not only 60.63, it's the ETH and weekly ETH top-down monthlies. We've got a 2-week composite value area high, very important. We have a 4 hour at 61, 60.61, and then right below it we've got a daily at 60.55 and a 1 hour to get a little bit more precise at 60.53.50. This is a great spot. This is a really, really good spot. I'm telling you, this is a banger, right? So we need to keep our eye on this. If we come down in here, I got all kinds of alarms set to warn me, and just pay attention, because if this monthly holds, then whoop, we just go right back up, right? It's the same concept of, like, you see how this is the top down, right? It's the same concept as this daily that played right here. See, first touch, top down, great reaction, paid for 25 points so far and still going, right? So if it plays for that on a daily, what's it going to play for on a monthly, right? Monster move, right? So I hope that kind of puts things in context for you guys. If we continue to move lower, we got 60.53, 60.55, 60.42. These are all dailies in 4 hours. The 60.42.50 is a 4 hour. We have a naked POC here. We have an untested ETH of 60.38. And then finally, kind of my last pocket that I'm really super interested in is the 60.25. 60.25, 60.26, 4 hour, 1 hour or 4 hour daily. The only issue is this is that spot I was telling you that looks to be intra-tested. I don't really love the 4 hour formation, but one of the things that was interesting to me is we do have a weekly at 60.26. We do have a weekly composite POC or for 2 weeks, and they're all at the same price. So I'm not going to ignore this area at all, and especially if we start to react off of it and get some momentum, I'm going to jump in this joint. But ultimately, what we want to do is continue to gain levels as we continue to move higher. So that's really it, guys. I don't think there's any reason to go any farther down. I just don't see a reason for it. And I'll bring up the 1 hour just so you can kind of get an idea of what's cooking here. This is our current price action, and just to kind of go over our trades that I'm looking at for Monday. Again, we're talking about the 63.20 failed breakdown push as we get back above yesterday's low. I like this 6300, 6302 to 6299. I would actually love the sweep into 99 and get back above 02 and then back above 09. And I'll be taking a ton of profits right here at 20 because we know this is the top down. Okay. So again, just being significant, we just can't be foolish with it, but it could continue to go up higher, playing this weekly. And the last spot that I really liked that I pointed to you guys on the 4 hour, I didn't show you on the 1 hour, but this is it on the 1 hour, and I like it a lot. 62.83/62.81, 4 hour, 1 hour combo. We have a naked POC there. This is a huge wick, huge support area. This is our current leg to the high. If they come down here and play this and get back above the 4 hour at 89, and especially the weekly at 94, this thing's going to just squeeze right back up. We're just going to do it again, right? So, just don't be alarmed if this thing doesn't come down, and don't be alarmed if we actually come into this balance area. I showed you on the weekly that this area has just been kind of percolating back and forth, and all they're doing is building value. So this is just the market accepting a higher range. That's all this is. Pure. And again, that doesn't mean they can't pull back and go like this, right? But this is what happens. This is just another form of accumulation in a bull market. Okay, so that is all that we are seeing right now. Essentially. So, guess what I'm telling you is as we continue to gain, we could come down and just kind of do this number, right? Or we could actually come all the way down here and do this again, right? This is just simply a push-up value acceptance. We'll kind of fiddle around a little bit, and then they could potentially push higher. Now, is that what's going to happen? I'm not a fortune teller. I don't know. But what I do know is this is a common occurrence when you're talking about a bull market. As you push up, they have to accept value. And 3 weeks for the balance is a huge indicator to me that they're pretty much very comfortable with this area. However, this could be also a distribution phase, which means that we need to be prepared for anything, and they could pull back. However, again, and I've said this over and over again, with the big beautiful bill and all the stimulus and all that stuff, I just don't think we're going to come down, right? And I mean, when I mean come down, I mean really come down. I mean, any dips are viable at this point, especially all into those areas that I showed you guys. So that's what I got for you guys. We're going to end right there. I hope you guys have a great weekend, have a kick-ass Monday, and we're going to have a great week next week. So you enjoy yourself, and cheers.